Hello and welcome to the tabletop. Today I'm here to tell you how to play Posthuman Survival Evolve. This game is a 1 to 4 player game where you are playing as a survivor trying to make your way to a town called the Fortress. It's the last hope in humanity. On this journey towards this fortress, you're going to encounter mutants and humans. Both want to hurt you. Mutants, on the other hand, can turn you into a mutant, which changes your whole goal. You're not trying to make it to the fortress anymore. You're trying to keep other survivors from making it to the fortress. So let's dive deeper into Posthuman. Let's talk about it. Start setting up Posthuman. Look in the starting item deck and remove all the cards that have a player icon that are more than the players actually playing. Next, you want to grab the central board and grab each pile of cards and terrain tiles and shuffle them and place them in the indicated slots on the board. Next, you need to make the community piles for ammo tokens, food tokens, and completion tokens. Now that the board is set up and ready to go, it's time to select characters. Each player will roll a die, and whoever rolls the highest will choose the characters first. There are 6 different characters in Posthuman. Each character has their own stats and their own skills they come with, what kind of weapon and equipment they come with, and what kind of resources they come with, ammo or food. So let's set up our character. The character I'm selecting is the Cage Fighter. Once you select your character, you need to take the stats tokens and put them at the top of the stats here that correlates with the numbers that are on your stat card. So each stat that you have gives you an ability. If our mine was a 4, it would allow us to reroll any 1 die once during combat. If it was a 5, it would allow us to reroll 2 combat dice once during combat. Speed indicates how good you are at evading, and also if you go first during combat during the shooting phase. Since our speed is a 4, during melee, we can replace 1 red die with a green die. If our speed was a 5, we can replace 2 melee die with 2 green dice. Green dice gives us extra blocks, so it's good if we're low on health. Strength indicates how strong you are. If our strength was a 4, we would add 1 wound to our combat. If our strength was a 5, we add 2 extra wounds. Melee indicates how much dice we're going to roll during our turn in melee combat. If our melee is higher than our opponent's, we roll 1 extra die. Since our melee is a 5, our warrior symbol equals a hit. The shooting stat indicates how many blue dice we add to our ranged weapon. If our shooting stat was a 3, we would add 2 extra blue dice. If it was a 4, we would add 3. And if it was a 5, we would add 3, and the skill shot logo would count as a hit. Next, we need to set our health and morale. Health goes off your strength plus 3. Our strength is a 3, so our health is a 6. You need to make sure you put the limit marker behind it as well. The morale goes off your mind plus 3, so all morale starts at a 5. Also set the limit marker behind it. The food starts at the far rightmost, and the inventory bag will be filled in with these markers once we have an inventory. Now we need to grab the skill out of the skill deck that comes with our character. Now grab the weapon that your character comes with and the equipment. So whatever equipment or weapons you have on the right side of your player board is not equipped. If you want to equip your weapon, it has to be on the left side of your player board. That indicates that this weapon is equipped. You can have 1 melee weapon and 1 ranged weapon equipped at a time. Now that we have our inventory, we need to fill in our inventory bag. The only inventory slots that's being taken up at the moment is our weapon. It has 2 inventory slots, so we just fill in 2 spots in our bag. Last thing we need to do to start setting up is to place down our starting tile. Once we place our starting tile, we place our starting meeple on it. And we also put a meeple on the starting spot on the journey track. Now that the setup is done, each player must roll a 6-sided die. Whoever rolls the highest is the starting player. Each round, that player is responsible for revealing and reading the event card. If you don't want to read, don't roll high. There are 2 types of event cards. Regular events that last only 1 round, and seasonal events that last until another season is drawn. After the event is drawn, everybody must eat. The only time you don't eat is when your meeple is located on the safe zone. To eat, you just use one of your food resources. But if you didn't have any food resources, you would go down 1. Whenever you land on a logo that has a -M or a -H or M, either your health or morale would go down. Even if your food was all the way at the bottom and you only eat 2 food, you still land on this one, which means you go down 1 on your morale. If your health or morale goes all the way to 0, you are knocked out. On your turn on Posthuman, there are 4 actions you can take. You take 1 at a time, but you do this secretly through action cards. When you perform a camp action, you regain 2 health. If you're also on a safe house, you regain an additional health or a morale. You may also use any kind of skills or equipment you can use during this time. Trading is also a possibility if you and a survivor are on the same terrain type. You can only forge on a tile when all of the encounters are completed on that tile. You can forge a tile once. The move action allows you to move one zone to the other and resolve the encounters. If you've already completed the tile that you're moving to, it does not progress you on the journey track. If you haven't revealed a tile anywhere near yours and you decide to move, you draw blindly and decide whether or not you want to move to it. The scout action allows you to draw tiles equal to the exits that you have open on your terrain tile. There are 4 different encounter cards: normal events, skill check events, mutant encounter cards, and a human encounter card. The human and mutant encounter cards all have similar stats to our own. They're on the left and they're speed, health, melee, and range. Mutant encounter cards, though, have mutant scars that you can get. If you get enough of mutant scars, you can turn into a mutant yourself. So when gaining a mutant scar, there are 2 types of mutant scars you can get: just a scar or a mutation. In a 2-player game, you can only turn into a mutant if you have 5 mutations. In a 3 to 4-player game, once you hit 3 mutation cards, you have a choice to whether you turn into one or stay human. But if you get 5, you always have to turn into a mutant. When declaring you are turned into a mutant, you discard all your inventory, discard all just scars from out of your mutant hand, and put into play all mutation cards. Then draw 3 mutation actions. Be sure to plus or minus each of your player stats according to the mutation cards that you have. Each logo says to either minus one of your stats or plus one of your stats. Now you are a mutant. Now let's talk about how an encounter would work. Let's say I've taken a move action this turn where I've moved into this zone. Because I moved into this zone, this activates an encounter. Since we're at the bottom of the journey track, our next encounter is a 1, so we have to draw from the encounter's 1 deck. We drew a slammer. A slammer has a speed of 3, a health of 2, and a melee of 3. During melee combat, if he rolls a question mark, he gets a successful hit and a knockdown to us. A knockdown means during our next combat roll, we roll 1 less die. If he rolls more successful hits than we do, we gain 1 damage and 1 mutant scar. He also has a special ability here where it says, after the shooting phase, I take a strength test. So I'll roll a 6-sided die and compare it to my strength. If I fail it during his first combat roll, the warrior symbols equals a hit for him as well. So now we compare stats. Neither of us have ranged weapons, so we just skipped the shooting phase. But because he has a slam, I have to do a skill check for my strength. I rolled a 2. It was under a 3, so I successfully do the skill check. Now we compare our melee stats. Mine is a 5, his is a 3. You always roll 3 combat dice standard, but if your melee is higher than their melee, you get 1 extra die. Now I roll. I roll the warrior symbol, a regular hit, and 2 misses. These count as 2 successful hits because my stats is a 5. My warrior hits count as a hit as well. Now he rolls. He rolled a regular hit, a shield, and a shield. So, in this case, he blocked both of my hits, and he dealt 1 hit successfully back to me. So I would take 1 damage and gain a scar. This will happen for 3 rounds. If both of us are still alive, we both walk away. If I get knocked out by my health going all the way down, I basically respawn back at the start. If at the end of the combat you successfully beat this guy, you'll get 1 XP, which is indicated at the bottom right, and you'll add him to your collection. Once you get 3 XP, you can upgrade one of your stats. The first time you do this encounter on this tile, you get to draw a supply card, because it has 1 at the top, and whatever the field logo is on that supply card, you gain those resources. This is a supply card we drew, so we get 1 food and 2 ammo. Once you successfully beat this encounter, you put out the completion token. This indicates the encounter is done, and you can forge it once more. Once you forge it, you flip this token over, and you can't forge this tile anymore. To progress on along the journey track, you do an encounter, but when you draw for that encounter, you draw what number is next in your journey track. So if our number 1 is next, we draw from the encounter 1 deck. But if we were here, we would draw from the encounter 2 deck if we want to proceed. We don't have to. We can sit here and keep drawing number 1s and not progress for whatever reason. But the only way to progress during the journey track is drawing from the next number that's on your track. Once a survivor makes it to the fortress, the game ends and the survivors win. If everyone turns into a mutant, the game is over and the mutants win. And that's Posthuman. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much. You are awesome. If you liked the video, be sure to like it. If you disliked something, tell me what I can do in the comments below to improve the video. Be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. And until next time, peace.